Times now, Josh, another little skirmish in the ongoing trans war that's been eclipsed somewhat of late.
Well, yeah, this is really interesting. It's nice to be back in the safe space of the trans...
Yeah, like the old days.
The good old days.
Feels so good.
Oh, my gosh.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Transgender women are women Welsh government states. So... Not that Scotland made a big hoo-ha and tried to put a male rapist in a... did put a male rapist in a female prison and whatever. Now, this is really interesting. The Welsh secretary... Not the Welsh secretary, sorry. The First Minister of Wales has proposed a bill now that is going to basically say that half of all the people who are going to be proposed to go into Parliament as Welsh ministers... MPs should be women, and within that is making the definition of women to be anybody who's undergone a process or undergoing a part of a process for the purpose of reassigning their sex by changing physiological or other attributes to sex. So really, this is like the most open-ended definition of womanhood, because other attributes of sex could be the sexist idea of, well, a woman wears a dress, so if I wear a dress, now I'm a woman. And also they're saying that you can't question it either. If someone basically says they are a woman or that's it. So it's a really interesting, it's almost like a Trojan horse where they've put this sort of seemingly feminist bill of let's make 50% of the proposals for the applicant list for senedd, the shortlist. Let's make them women. That sounds great for feminists and whatever, but of course then they've made within that the definition of woman to be, upsetting for women who are trying to protect women's spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to say I'm not entirely in favour of the quote in the first place.
That's the other debate.
So this is a war within a war. It's a war between men and women, basically. That's what it sounds like to me.
And it's not a war between men and women.
And then there's the big war, which is really happening in the world. Is at the end of the day these little questions of who's more womanly, a man-woman or a woman-woman, who's more gay, who's more. It's like no one's going to in 20 years.
I wonder how Welsh they have to be as well. Is there any indication that they need to be Welsh?
Yeah.
Well, is someone who's Welsh identifies as Welsh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's anti-democratic to demand who's going to be in Parliament, who's going to be. Let the people elect who they want to elect.
Well, they will elect, but it's down to shortlist, isn't it? I mean, that's the first giving them. I guess that affects the opposition.
But that's not the bill. The bill isn't in the shortlist. Are they forcing the shortlist on the political party?
Well, sorry, one more thing before we go on. I just want to say that the loopholes you open up here were really interesting. We saw there was a very funny footage of a tech conference in America, which was for women in tech. And then all these guys, geeky blokes, basically like me, who then identified as they, thems, went through this conference because they had this unbelievable opportunity to have access to these hiring of all these top firms, Google and whatnot. And women were super duper upset. All women, by the way, a lot of them who had sort of she, her in their bios, stuff like that. And suddenly it's like, guess what? Men will exploit it. That's what people do.